Hey guys, and welcome to this episode of Flavor and Fiction. So I kind of cheated a little bit, and I borrowed a category from the 2018 challenge, just because I really wanted to read this book. And the category is a book by someone you admire. And I chose The Mother of Black Hollywood by Jenifer Lewis. If you don't know who Jenifer Lewis is, turn this off immediately. No, I'm just kidding. She has been in everything. Currently, you may know her as Ruby Johnson, the grandmother on Blackish. But she had a Broadway start, and she literally has been like in every TV show or movie you can think of. So this is what we're going to be talking about today. And as far as our ingredient that was mentioned in the book, she mentioned kind of like a list of things she was snacking on at the time. And one thing she mentioned that I have never made before, so we're going to do this together, is donuts. So we're going to be making some apple cinnamon donuts, picture here. And I'm excited. I think it's going to be really good. Of course, today of all days, my sister wanted me to go with her to get some donuts to some shop she heard about. And I was like, no thanks, I don't want donuts. Because I didn't want it to be, I wanted this to be a surprise. She was like, fine, I'll just go without you. So thanks a lot, Michelle. But okay, so before we get started on the donuts, I'll tell you a little bit about the book. And then we'll come back to it. So first of all, I did not know that she's from a town called Kinloch, Missouri, which is right in between St. Louis and Ferguson. And she's also from the same town. This is the same town that produced Maxine Waters and Dick Gregory and others. So it's for a small town, it's produced a lot of talent. So Jenifer is the youngest of 7 kids. And her mom didn't have a lot of money, but she always made sure that they were clean and taken care of, even though she doesn't really describe her mom as a very loving person. At the time, she didn't feel very like her mom was very comforting or anything like that, but she did the best she could to take care of them. And because she's the youngest of 7, she kind of felt like her siblings kind of paired off and she was left alone, but it was being left alone that kind of made her develop her own world around her. So I think that contributed to her stardom and her determination. So she knew she wanted to be a star from when she was very young. She moved to New York immediately after graduating college, looking for stardom. But unlike a lot of people, she actually found it, I think maybe 4 weeks after moving there. Even her roommates had been there for years, like trying to get work. And she ended up in a Broadway show right when she got there. So the play was Eubie. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's if you've heard of Eubie Blake, you should have. I think his full name is James Hubert Blake, and the show was honoring his life work as like the first African American to write, star in, and produce his own Broadway play. And it also had Gregory Hines in it, one of my favorites. She didn't directly audition for it, but when she was out getting something to eat one day, she saw a man that she had auditioned for before who happened to be working on this, which just goes to show that you never know who you're going to meet, who's going to be connected to who, so you have to be on your A game at all times. So before we move on, let's go get started on these donuts. Okay, so now we have our mixture ready, but before we do the next step, let's get back to the book. Because this is a memoir, it's a little hard to go straight through, especially because Jenifer kind of bounced back and forth between different times in her life. So I'm just going to hit some highlights for you without ruining anything. I think one of the biggest takeaways from this is that you have to do your own thing. You have to be the hero that rescues yourself. Because after doing Yubi on Broadway, she kind of had a slump, and instead of waiting for an audition to come through, she wrote her own one-woman show. And it became hugely popular that a lot of famous people ended up coming out to see it. And it was in the middle of this that she got a call from Bette Midler to be one of her backup singers. I think they were called the Harlots, one of her harlots. And get this, she actually turned her down. She said, I have my own show and it's booked and it's already been sold out. I can't disappoint these people. The next day, Bette called her personally to invite her. And once the show was over, she flew out on tour and she became one of her backup dancers or singers. So that just goes to show that not every opportunity is something that you have to jump on. You have to think about what's best for you. And that's one thing that Jenifer was really good at. Another takeaway, especially for women, is to speak up. She revealed that she was molested as a child and she reported it and nothing happened. And I won't go into like who or what or where. I'll let you read about that. But she also became very promiscuous, sexually free, if you will. And she said she didn't have any regrets about it, but she learned later on that this was part of her bipolar disorder, that she was using sexual activity as a high after coming down like off the stage, the applause. She wanted to keep the applause going. She wanted to keep that high. And so she turned to man after man after man. And she really talks about like owning your own body and owning yourself, but also copping up to your mess and getting help for it. And she reluctantly ended up agreeing to go to therapy, which ended up turning things around for her. Of course, not immediately because it's a process, but it helped her really discover what her problem was. And I really give her props for that. So before we get to the next, let's go ahead and get these donuts in the oven. First thing you want to do is take your donut pan, and shout out to my coworker friend Bill for loaning me this pan, because like I said, I've never made donuts before and I did not have this. So you want to spray it with some Pam. Okay, so I've never had to do this either, but I'm doing, since I don't have like a piping bag, I just took a Ziploc bag to put the mixture in, and I'm going to cut an end right here and squeeze the mixture in. So here we go. Wish me luck. I'm going to try to be as neat as possible. And you don't want to fill it all the way up. You want it to be about halfway. And I want to make sure it's even, so I'll come back if I need to, but if you do fill it up too much, it'll be a little donut muffin. Which doesn't sound that bad. Okay, so here we are. And for my first time, this is not so bad. It doesn't look that bad, a little messy, but whatever. So now we're going to set the oven. It's already set for 375, and we're going to leave it in there for 11 to 12 minutes, and then let it cool for a couple of minutes before doing the next step. So another interesting tidbit that I did not know about Jenifer Lewis was that she was set to play the original Effie White in Dreamgirls. So what happened was Jennifer Holliday had been cast in the role, but when she found out that Effie was supposed to die in like the first act, she didn't want it. So then they offered the role to Jenifer Lewis, and she decided to put her own thing on the role, and she edited it, she developed it, she extended it. She pretty much wrote the role of Effie White until it became what it is today. And guess what they did? They offered it back to Jennifer Holliday, who accepted, and Jenifer Lewis was out. However, they did recognize that she pretty much wrote the role of Effie White, so they paid her throughout the entire Broadway run of Dreamgirls. She got paid for the work that she did on it. I mean, great, I guess, but I would have been heated that they stole a role like that from me. I would have been really upset. Okay, and I said I'm not going to give everything away, and I'm not. It's just one of the funniest parts to me is that when she was talking about doing her movie Jackie's Back, which if you haven't seen it, you absolutely have to see it. It is star-studded and hilarious. While doing that, she saw Chris Rock crossing the street, and she kind of pulled him in and threw him on the set. He had no lines, or like he wasn't even supposed to be in the movie. And she said if you listen real close, his lines make no sense to the movie whatsoever, because she just wanted him to be in it, and he agreed because, you know, he loved Jenifer Lewis like the rest of us. So I thought that was a really cute story. And the book is filled with encounters like that, and all about her projects and relationships, and just, it really is a great book. You're not going to want to put it down. But let's go check on these donuts. Well, here they are. As you can see, one completely closed up here. Like, oh, I tried. We're going to make it try to look like a donut. Time for the next step. Okay, so I laid out some parchment paper, and I got my donuts on the rack. So what we're going to do now, I don't have one of those little brushes that they want me to use to brush the donuts with butter. So we're going to use a spoon and just do the best we can. Hence the parchment paper. So you're going to put butter all over the donut, both sides. Then you dip in cinnamon, the cinnamon and sugar mixture. And here they are, all coated in cinnamon and sugar. And normally I show you me trying one of whatever I make, but I'm going to take this over to my sister's apartment after, of course, I save one for Bill, since he gave me the pan. And I'm going to try it with my family. Here are my homemade cinnamon sugar donuts. Ooh. My mom and my sister are going to try.
She made a real donut.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3.
It tastes like apple cider. Did they apple cider?
So 1 through 10, what do you think? It needs to be hotter?
It could be hotter, but it's okay because it's slightly warm. And you don't always get warm donuts anyway, but
I think it'd be good. It's good as is, but I think it'd be good a little bit hot, with a scoop of vanilla ice cream and some whipped cream on top. That'd be good. That'd be really, really good.
Okay.
I would have liked it cooked longer so that it would be slightly crunchy.
Crispy. Yeah, I knew she was going to say that.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Just forget it.
But it's a very, very good donut. You have to make some more of these for us.
Glad you like
No,
it.
Vivian, you can't have any.
The baby
She's
wants a
drooling
donut.
just looking at him.
Aww. Okay, so there you have it. I feel the same way as my sister as far as I don't love the feeling of like loose sugar and cinnamon on top, like that grainy feeling. But the flavor of the donut was pretty good, so I may make them plain next time. But I may have only taken 1 or 2 bites of my donut, but I devoured that book. So go out and get The Mother of Black Hollywood by the Jenifer Lewis. The book should be on your list. And if you're a true Jenifer Lewis fan, you know where that's from. So thanks for joining in, and I'll see you next time.